Carol, and this is Mommy&Me on assignment. And I'm excited about this conversation this week. So it's a new year, and we gotta just get some things established in the new year, right? So this is Mommy&Me on assignment, and we're here having conversation, helping you to rethink madness. And if you are a mother of a tween daughter, this is the place for you, all right? I am a music therapy expert. I am a mom of a tween daughter. Well, she just stepped out of tween into teen, and I also have a son though. And so I've walked through these things. I've also walked with other parents and moms as they go through this age. Tweens start at the age of 8. And I know most people are like, what? I thought it was just 12 or 11. No, 8 to 12 years old are tweens. And if you remember what you were like in 8 to 12 years old, then you understand, hopefully, that the things that your daughter might be going through as she steps into this tween, headed into teenage years. And of course, the younger tweens is different than the older tweens, but all of these things can help to foster the relationship between you, the mom, and the daughter. And what's most important about our conversations here is you, mom. You're the key. You are the key. So when we talk about rethinking madness, we're talking about moms, because how the support that you can give, the healthier you are, the more satisfied you are, then the healthier and more satisfied your daughter will be. All right, so let's jump in. Today we're talking about she said, okay? So your daughter has friends, and they have things that they believe, things that they like, and you share these things with your daughter, or your daughter shares these things with her friends shares things with her, things that, oh, this is what my mom lets me do, or I get to go over here, I get to have a boyfriend, I can go to the mall by myself, whatever it may be. There are conversations being had that you know nothing about, mom. And so it's important that you are able to set clear boundaries and rules with your tween. Please, hopefully you've started setting rules and boundaries with your children from a young age. And if you have not, today is the day. And it doesn't have to be, harsh, but it is helpful. Children need boundaries. Children need rules because they don't know, right? And it is our responsibility, moms, to help them and to teach them. Our children are only going to know what we teach them or what the world teaches them, right? I would rather that my child be beholden to something I know I taught them versus something that they just happened upon outside in the world, right? And that way I could just take responsibility and be like, yeah, I did that. Okay. Good, bad, or indifferent. I could just say I did it. All right. So if your children, that they have all these inputs from outside sources, it's important that you have something that you say, here's how we are going to do things. And so today I want to just give you some ways, 3 ways that you can encourage boundaries or rules in your home. Now, the rules might be, when I was growing up, we had a rule in my house where it was when my parents were not home, nobody in and nobody out. Meaning, we had to stay in the house, we had to stay at home, and we couldn't go outside while our parents were gone. Now, most of the people around us did not have that rule. I had a friend who lived like 2-3 doors down. She could kind of do whatever. Other friends who were around the block, they could ride up and down the street. It was no big deal for them as long as they told their parents. Now, with that in mind, there were certain things that we were allowed to do, which, for example, in the summertime, we went to swimming lessons. But we had to get ourselves we rode our bikes to the swimming pool. It's interesting that we had this nobody in, nobody out rule. I think it changed the older we got, because then we had this summer where we went to swimming, and we had to ride our bike like 2 miles to go swimming. And it's like, you trust me to ride my bike 2 miles, but you don't trust me to just be right here in my own yard when you're not home. But anyway, we're not talking about that. But those were the rules that were set up for myself and my brother. You know, nobody in and nobody out. Don't let people know that you're not at home, or that the parents are not at home, that you're home by yourself. You know, and even if you have friends over, you don't just take people up into everybody's bedroom. We had those kind of rules. Because one time I just took my friend into my mother's bedroom, and we was in there watching TV, and she was like, "Girl, this is my bedroom. Do not. You need to go downstairs and y'all watch TV downstairs." I was like, oh. So some rules you don't realize you need until you realize you need it, right? So here's some ways to just encourage setting some good boundaries for your kids. And first and foremost is be a good example of following the rules. If you want to set rules, if you're going to set rules for your daughter, for your tween, you have to be an example of following the rules. And I'm not saying be perfect, because no one is. But if your child is always seeing you, oh, I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm going to do this. If your child is always seeing you, oh, there go the police, let me put my phone down while I'm driving. And I could be guilty of that sometimes. Like, initially, I really was a stickler about it. But it's like, as soon as I think of something, I've gotten to the age where I got to write it down immediately. So I got to pull my phone out even when I'm driving. And that is not right. And so, be a good example. If you want to set clear boundaries and rules in your home, be a good example of setting good boundaries and clear rules in your home. So number 2, if you are going to encourage boundaries and rules in your house, have a discussion about what your values are and establish a certain culture in your home. Have a discussion about what is the culture here. What are the rules here? What's important here? We value telling the truth. We value cleaning up after yourself. We value, we value God. We value doing what God says is important, reading your Bible, praying. We value, what do you value? What is important to you? And have a discussion with your child, your tween, about that. And I'm going to tell you, start that at a young age. Don't wait until they get to be teenagers to let them know what's important. You want to establish, because whether you know it or not, there are some things that are being established as important in the life of your tween, and you didn't even realize it, because those are the things that you have been doing since she was a little girl. And she's like, oh, okay, this is important to my mom, or these are things that we should do. And she does that just by watching you. All right. So that goes back to number 1. Let's make sure that we're setting clear boundaries. All right. That we're being an example of it. Okay. So thirdly, boundaries and rules can change and shift as your child gets older. And so reevaluating is a good idea. Reevaluate. So, like I said, my daughter has moved into the teen years, so now she wants to be on social media. And so prior to that, in the tween years, that wasn't even a thing. But now that she's in high school, I have to reevaluate that. So you might allow your child to be on social media as a tween, and that's your choice. Maybe not an 8-year-old, but maybe a 12-year-old. So take the time to reevaluate what age group she's in, because an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old are doing totally different things, and then go ahead and set some rules and some boundaries based on that. And you could say, hey, you're getting older, so here's some things that you weren't able to do before, and now it's okay for you to do them as long as you do it within these confines and constructs. And so I know I've had to say to my children, you know, when they want to do something, I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know if that's right. I don't think you're old enough, but let's revisit it in a year or so. You know, let's revisit it, or just let me think about it. Because if I'm honest, sometimes I was making rules and it wasn't based on my family. It was just based on how I was raised. And it didn't necessarily fit my children. Okay? So we have to evaluate that as well. So Mom, I hope that this has been helpful to you. I want to encourage you, set some clear boundaries, you know, and be a good example of following the rules. Go ahead and identify and set up what the culture is in your home, and then reevaluate what is or is not working for you and your family. All right, I'm looking forward to, on Thursday, we're going to talk about things that we should avoid when we are setting boundaries. And so I hope this has been helpful to you. I am Tanisha Carroll. This is Mommy and Me on Assignment, and I'll see you again on Thursday.